others. Because the fact is, if you make it about you, it's just harder sometimes. It's easier to get out of bed. Like this morning, I'm just being honest, like we're down here learning, but it's a lot. We get up at this time and, go to bed at this time, and it's a full day. It's good. It's great stuff, but it's also a lot of energy expanded in a different way. And I think that's every day. I think it's how much you give every day, right? I try to give as much as I can. I think for me, using a football analogy, I remember I just want to leave it all on the field. I mean, why would I take it into the next game, right? I understand you could be losing a bunch or winning really big. Maybe coach takes you out of the game or something like that. But I'm just talking about your effort while you're doing it. It's showing up. I heard, I'm a Georgia fan, sorry, but I love those guys at that high level, and Kirby's just one of those guys, because, it's one of the things I follow. Like I got Jesus and God and my family and, our business, obviously. And then there's probably Georgia football. I mean, I don't have a lot of time to follow everything, but I do intentionally follow that. I've been a fan for many, many years. I mean, it was 40 years before I could see a national championship. Like, man, that's cool. Now we get to whatever, right? But anyway, what I'm saying is things he says that just like, man, that's powerful. And then you understand why they're doing what they're doing. But like he says, better never rest. That's a big one. Like I pick up these things from things they say, better never rest. Don't think about that one for a second, but it's pretty deep. Better never rest. I heard him say, another one of the guys said this the other day. It's like I was reading something and it said, it was one of the younger guys, like a sophomore, and he's, obviously start this year. That's how they do it, right? And he said, well, Kirby's probably going to pick up on this. But they were talking about making history because, again, but Georgia's got a chance to do something no one's ever done, at least since 1932, I think it is, which is back to back to back, right? And the guy asked him, and he gave a political answer, as you would too. Bryce, if someone said, hey, man, what do you guys think about your chances to win, make history this year? You would say, yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to make history and have that opportunity. We're excited about that. But he said this afterwards. He said, right after that, because that's political correct answer, right? He says, we make history every day. We make history every play. We'll make history today. And when you think about that, everything you're doing in your life is creating that history. It triggered me when I heard him say something on your stuff you're listening to earlier. I'm not sure who that is, but really good stuff. I love that. And so if you start off the day listening to something like that, it can help you. That's why I did that. I mean, I do a minute and a half or so, just whatever comes to my heart, maybe something I've listened to. It's hard, like in a minute and a half, because you want to give so much in that time. And so I try to pick one or two things to talk about. But he was talking about, I'm saying, shifting a little bit. It was talking about the history, right? We have a past, we have a history. Jeremiah 29:11 is very, dear to my heart because we've gone through stuff, guys. I've been through divorces, a lot of people don't know that I had a second. I'm sharing real transparent with y'all. Like I wanted something so bad for my kids. I was a single dad for 5 years. And, I dated, and stuff like that, but I wanted to have somebody for them. I overlooked stuff. And I was with somebody 18 years, man. She was an alcoholic, all this stuff that I fought through for my kids. Some things happened early on in our marriage, about 7 years in, that would allow me to leave. I'll leave it at that. And it wasn't me. I'm not saying I was perfect by any means. But, I stayed and tried to fight through that. But then after we left, long story short, I ended up having blindfold put over me, basically missed some things and would have gotten an annulment, but I did it for my kids. I had some money stolen from me. This was prior to coming here, obviously. But I remember walking through that path and being like, the first time when I left my first wife, I ran away from God. Okay. And I was just in a really hard place. I was losing, I turned for a minute. My pastor got me back on track and did the right things, got myself straight, and my mom, called me and said, Dave, you need to straighten up. But I went through that. Well, a few years later, I was going through this really tough time again. And I remember fighting to run towards him. Guys, I moved back in my house with my mom. Like this woman, like totally deceived us. Turned my kids against me, all kinds of crazy stuff. And this is probably almost 12 years ago now, something like that. And anyway, through that process, I was praying with somebody and they were talking to me about man, everything they talked about and spoke over me, like you guys are speaking great words in the morning. Now we got to take action, right? We can speak those, but you also got to take action. It's one thing to say those and bring things into your life rather than the negative, obviously, because you know who's listening to that. We don't want that. We want the other, which is what you guys are doing, speaking good life into yourself, which I love. But I ran towards him. I wasn't eating, like I was just not. I was unhealthy. I mean, I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating a lot. I was sick in that way. But I got up and went to work every day, guys. I had kids. I didn't have an excuse. I mean, I had all the excuses in the world not to work, all. But I had a career. I had people depending on me, all that. But I had to take care of my kids. And I remember fighting through that. And I remember somebody speaking over, and my wife, Neri, if you've ever met her, is just like, she's amazing. Like, I don't deserve that. But what I'm pointing is, I grew towards God. I grew in myself. I grew through that hard time. I grew so much as a person. Not that I was a bad person. It's just that I wanted to get better. I don't know why, dude. There's nothing rehearsed here. I'm never that way. I'm not the guy. I hardly write notes now when I'm speaking because I just want to, whatever God puts on my heart, is what I'm going to share to you, right? Anybody in front of me. But I went through that. Certainly didn't expect to talk about this today. But maybe somebody needs to hear this. And that's the way I look. That's the way I look. It's one person. One person. One person. Hey, Dom. Hey, Dom. I got feedback or something there for a second. But I just going through those hard times. Dom doesn't probably know this. I'm not even sure. He's one of my, I consider him a dear friend, even though we're here. It's brothers are over here. I'm here, but I just know the heart. You know what I mean? Enough time with him to know that I love him and his family. And we're in this fight together every day. But we've been through so much. And so I think when you're going through those adversities, you're going through those tough times, just understand that God has a plan for you. You just don't know what it is. You just got to trust it. And it's in his time. It is. And she appeared and you can't make it up. Like, and so she moves, literally 50 feet apart from me, going through a divorce. I'm going through a divorce. We're asking these questions. If you hadn't heard this, like we're out here, I meet her best friend one day. I'm walking my bulldog. We're talking about football. And she's an Alabama fan, but that's her problem. I'm just kidding. But anyway, and she asked me about that. So we started talking and anyway, that's how we met. But we started going through all this, are you a Christian and all this stuff and the things that we matched and we met each other. And it's mind blowing, really, to think back on that time. And, if you met and watched, she's just a great person. I feel unworthy sometimes, but I'm grateful for that. And together, it's like, man, I can't do what I do without her. I can't do without having that, just like Dom and, his family, like you got to have that strong person next to you. So with that said, if you have people in your life, they're not like on this call when you're doing the affirmations and you're loving on people and you're caring for people and have the visions of growing a big business or serving your families and serving other families, you probably shouldn't spend a lot of time with those folks. I mean, I'm not saying if they're bad people, but if they're pouring negative in your life or they're negative, just watch that, because that filter is very important. What we put in is super important. So the daily affirmations, the podcast, whatever it might be that helps you, reading the word, praying, things like that. That matters. And just remember the negative stuff. It probably takes you about 10 times the amount of positive to eliminate that negative from your brain, which is why I don't watch a lot of TV. If I do, it's probably Sports Center or, stuff. I just got to filter that, especially the news. I mean, my goodness, don't get me started on that. But just, you got to just, because then you're just taking opinions of others, and picking which channel, whatever the case may be. It isn't about that. I think I will say this. I saw some the other day. It's like, what is it? United we stand, divided we fall. And I think we got to remember that. Look, for me, it's never been about, it's just, I want to serve people, dude. I don't care where they came from, what they look like, race, color, none of that. Like I grew up in Georgia and, Dom, I don't know if I shared this with you, like my parents, we played football and they would go away. I never got to see my family because they were we're up in the Virginia, West Virginia, where we're at now. And so, how it is playing multiple sports. I just had was dedicated to that. But I remember having Thanksgiving dinner and it was just me. I was the only white person in the room. Like I never learned, I never watched that. I never learned like, hey, we love each other. That's what I learned. I learned going to church, you love other people. You overlook their insecure, those things that maybe you're not understanding. And we got to do better at that. Like we got to do better at, like if someone has something we're disagreeing, it doesn't mean we can't come together. It just means we have to respect their opinions, right? Those are things I got to work on. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I have my own set of beliefs and things like that. And sometimes I can be even stronger. It's like Sean, like he's got his thing. I'm watching him change is really cool. He was at this leadership thing. Dom's been here. Dom down here in Dallas, and it's just been amazing. We are sharing about that. Which talking about motivation, I'm just trying to give you some stuff that, and again, I don't know who it matters to, who it hears, but hopefully it's one person. But I think you gotta set your goals. 30-day goals are better than 6-year goals. Not saying you can't put dream board up. I use sticky notes. I don't know if Don remembers this, but when we were going through, we were growing in the beginning. I didn't know, like I couldn't tell you what VP meant, this, that, and the other. I left convention. I put all these stickies on my mirror. Okay. And I have a video, I think we did the year after I was trying to promote the next convention. I literally pulled those out and showed them. Right. And some of those things that happened, like I didn't even know what integrity was. Like I don't even know if I knew at that point, but later on I did put a sticker up and a date, and we missed it several times, no problem. And you're going to miss things sometimes, but don't be afraid to put it out there, right? Be a realistic. You probably have coaches in your life, or whether it be Frank or whoever, Callie, whoever. You may even have people outside that, like Dom. We're all family here, guys. We all have our people that we connect with. I'm down here with Grady and Nina and Hayden, these guys, and it's just, we all have people, but put those strong people around you and understand you have a team of people that care about you. But I wake up every day. It's just, I try to make it about, and I don't try to make it, I do make it about other people. It could be my wife. It could be, the people I work with. It could be the person at the grocery store. It could be the person who, is cleaning the bathrooms. It doesn't matter. How are we treating everyone, right? And just loving people. And I think that's worked for me to do the best I can. I got to watch and make sure people don't hurt me. It can happen when you're like that. But at the same time, I just learned that God's got my back, right? I keep giving, doing what he did. You talking about washing somebody's feet? I mean, Brian was talking about that yesterday or the day before. And, like that's powerful, right? Think about that. Brian told us a story about he washed the feet, which you guys saw at the convention, but then I don't know if you told that there, but he had a situation where he actually turned and washed somebody else's feet who was homeless. And he talked about that. And then the guy turned around and wanted to wash his feet. So it was very uncomfortable. So I think talking about comfort, you got to get uncomfortable, right? That's uncomfortable. It really challenges you. So I heard the guy talking on the podcast you listened to, we have to get uncomfortable. If we're comfortable, that can be an issue. Because you get comfort and then you don't do what you say you're going to do, or maybe look, hey, I've arrived, or whatever. We never want to arrive, because then we stop growing. I think the people that continue to wake up every day and try to get better, I try to do that. And then the accountability matters. Like this morning, I didn't feel like going to the gym. I just didn't. There's a lot of days like that. But you know what? I told the guys, I'll see you at 6. I got down there 20 till 6. Just when I got down there, I was in there. Tom Ziegler's in there working out. It's kind of cool. And then some of the other guys came in, and and the chances of, think about that. I showed up early. So 2 days in a row, guess who got some quiet time with just him? Me. Think about that. You never know, right? And so that was cool. Yeah, I'm a little bit all over the place here, but if you have any questions, I'm just pouring into you, giving you what I got. But I think if you'll set realistic goals, and realistic goals, there's nothing wrong with stretch goals. It's but are you willing to put the work in behind it? I was listening to, I think it was Ed Milet this morning, and he was sharing some stuff. Anyway, the thing is, I think when we wake up every single day, we have to have that passion and look. And here's the thing: you're 90. I think I heard it's like he was talking about this. Like you're 98% of people, 98% of people, or 95% of ahead of people if you just show up every day, work hard, right, and have a good attitude, right? Those 3 things. If you'll just do that, you're about, I think it's 96, 97%. The difference of getting that 1% is just, continue. I think it's 98%. You are ahead of so many people if you'll just do those things. Show up, have a great attitude, and then and work hard. I think that's the key. Because how many times you heard somebody say, "Hey, just show up." Well, yeah, that's one thing, but what do you do after you show up, right? It's actually working. We got to add that in. So I would just challenge you guys. One more. We talked about that. I've heard that, and then think about this. If you could just, and I heard this again, another podcast. It was like, if you could just do one more call a day, one more hour of work, one more mile, one more minute, whatever, one more of something. Like if you just did that for 300 times, using the analogy, if Bryce, if you just, you worked one more hour a day, or maybe you made one more phone call a day or one more appointment a day, and you do that over a year, that's 300. You're automatically going to be ahead of someone else who doesn't do that. And then you add that over 2 years at 600 and it starts adding up, right? Dude, I knew one thing about that is God gave us some talents, yes, to use, whatever that might be. Don't lose them. I'll say that. Sometimes they can be taken away. I believe that. But I mean, but dude, you don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to have all these skills. You'll learn them as you go, right? Don't be afraid of going out there. If you're in the field, getting your teeth kicked in. If you're on the phone, same thing. Don't be afraid of that. Like, you're trying to help people. And when we understand why we're doing it, that's the key. I think why, like, when we figure that out, it makes it much easier. For me, it's like, I want to serve others. This was a business that I believed in, and I wanted to protect people. I knew I could build a legacy with it. I could build residual income with it. Did I know Family First Life existed 4 years ago? No, it's not quite 4 years, but I was starting to learn about it about now 4 years ago. And it's fascinating. But no matter where you are, whatever space you're in, you have to give it all you have every single day, I believe. And if you give it all you got, you look in the mirror at the end of the day, and you can live with the effort that you put in, regardless of the results, you can wake up the next day and go do it again. I'll promise you this, if you continue every day giving the same results consistently with the same attitude, making adjustments where they need it, if whoever you work for, you ask, hey man, I messed this up or I did this wrong, that's okay. We've all messed up. But the next day it might get better. And then you get better and better and better. Understand that failure is part of success. Every failure you have is just one more step closer to being more successful. And so we keep that in mind. And then there's some of you that I don't know, I don't see everybody, but you may be newer and it's like, well, yeah, but I'm not there yet. That's okay. We all had to start somewhere, every single one of us. I just happen to be older than a lot of y'all. So I've been through a lot more of the beat ups and, things like that, you know. Yeah. And I'm just because he's on here, he had cancer at a young age. Like, he could have just like, man, I'm out. Like, I'm fold up. But no, he didn't do that. He didn't let it be an excuse. He went on to play college baseball, which is his dream, all those things, whatever. The story is what it is. And look where he's at today. So again, we've all had our things, right? But I didn't know Don at 21, 18, and 20, but I would bet you he's a different person today than he was then. Why? Because he was associated with. Dude, he was with Shawn Mike. I mean, he was going to get beat up, whatever, but he was going to grow, right? We all did. He's helped us all grow. So you got to find that person too. I just because he's on here and he's a dear friend, it's just like, man, got to talk to him a little bit. But I know you guys are doing great things. I see that. I know Frank. I love his heart. Obviously, he's one of my favorite people in the world. Him and Jamie, in a very short period of time, have become very close. Thank God. And my wife, and they could not talk for, 3-4 months, and it's just like they just saw each other yesterday. And that's how we are. That's what's great about the integrity guys is that I come down and see them. It's like I'm with them all the time, but I'm not with them, if that makes sense. So, man, I hope that helps you a little bit. If you have a couple questions, we could do that.
It
But
sure
I just want to know that I'm here for anybody to help pour into them, love on them, whatever, try to encourage, whatever. I don't know everything. If I don't know the answer, I get it from my people. And I certainly don't. I'm just getting started. So we're just trying to help people.
Thank you, Dave. I just wanted to ask a question, and I know Kylie usually asks everyone that comes on there, especially the integrity members. Why is it so important to build a team immediately?
Well, I think, for me, I think, first of all, if you believe in what you're doing, why wouldn't you share it? Right? Like, if you came here and, man, this looks really good to me, why wouldn't you share that with people you cared about? The warm market and things. And those are things that I think, like, you don't know their whole story. Like, you may think they look good because that's what we do as people. We're like, man, they're driving an okay car, they're living in an okay house, maybe their job's great and they probably love it, but you don't know what's behind those closed doors either. So you may save them. See, that's the thing. I never know, but if they're like up here credibility wise, you're man, I'm scared to call them, dude. You just don't know. Sometimes you can say, hey man, I want you to look at something I'm doing, and I love your opinion. People love that, right? The people that are egotistical, if you will not say egotistical, you may think that they're like, man, they're doing really well. Sometimes those same people will look at you, man, you have no idea. This is amazing, right? It's not like we're all stupid. I mean, it's just, are we willing to work? Do we believe in life insurance? Do we believe in helping people? You just don't know. They may be dying to get out of where they're at, and they haven't told you. They're just keeping their things moving and keeping it private to themselves. So I think that's that. Number one, the other thing is, why, if you're here to build a business and want to build a business, why wouldn't you offer to other people? And then I think for me, like, I know anything I've ever done, if I had somebody else that was relying on me in some way, like, it always made me to work harder. Because if I brought you on and said, hey, look, Bryce, for example, hey man, look, I want you to work with me, and here's what I'm going to do, and we're going to do this together, then why would I leave? Why would I leave him there? So I think it gives you that extra accountability to yourself, to grow as well, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But again, I think, again, look at what you got. If you have questions about building a team, get with the people that are building the team. In our business, we have that as part of our business, but we've also made so many changes and learned so much through the last couple of years. So I don't think you need to be afraid of that. I think you just need to understand it's part of the business. And a lot of the things that FFL's done, Sean's done, the carriers, systems we put in place is totally different than it was, say, a couple of years ago. And we've learned from it. And at the end of the day, we just want to find good people. I like to say, I want to have a rocket ship. I just want the right people on it. So let's find good people. So if you know them intimately and you feel good about them, why wouldn't you offer this opportunity to them? You just never know. It can change their lives.
Thank you. Anybody else has a question? Dom, you gonna say something?
No question. Just thank you, Dave. This has been great, man.
Thank you for your testimony as well. I love the transparency. I love the transparency because, like you said, a lot of people look at people and you like, oh, they was just given a team. They just got everything. They with the leaders, and plugged them in, and they just gave Holly this, they gave y'all that, and you think it's just that easy. So, thank you for your transparency.
Yeah, of course. I just challenge y'all to get better every day. If I can help in any way, like I said, doing the daily dose just to help people. That's it. I'll send that message out later for those that are on there. Just whatever was on my heart that day. But I just want to bless people, help people grow, and just at the end of the day, just try to make this world a better place. And we just have an amazing platform at FFL where we can certainly change lives in so many ways. Because sometimes it's not, they might come here financially. Think about this. They might come here for one reason and maybe it doesn't work out, but we want to leave them in a better place when we found them. And so for me, it's like, how can I do that? How can I make a difference in someone's life when I'm around them? How can I make a difference in someone's life? I can't choose how they work. All I can do is give them all I got every day and show them the best heart I got and lead them down that road. But dude, there's so many people that leave here and we've changed their lives in different ways. It just may not have worked out for them. And that's okay, because it's not for every single person. But why wouldn't we give them the opportunity? I'll just leave you with that. But I think if you show up with the right heart and you're doing the right things by people, it's all going to work out the right way. That's how it works. So, and it's an amazing business. I love y'all. This is what gets me up every day, is seeing people's faces like this and knowing some of you, being around some of you and seeing your lock-ins and different things. We have another one coming up, 13, 14, 15, I think September. Guys, that's a lot of work, but we do it for y'all. Like, it's not, I mean, I try to get the carriers come in, help out, stuff like that, as you guys know. But you've been there. If you've been there, we're working. We're having fun, but we're working, and hopefully it makes a difference. So I hope to see you guys soon. If not, I know I'll see you at the convention. I'll see you on Zooms, whatever. If I can do anything for you, please let me know. Love y'all. I appreciate you. Tom, good to see your face, man. Catch up soon, bro. Good to see y'all. Thank you again tell Callie. Thanks for the invite. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks so
Dave.
much.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
See y'all on live
Thanks, guys.
dials.
Thank Dave.
Live dials, live dials.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
You're awesome. Bye, Amaka. Hey, girl. Hey, girl.
Hey, Jesse.
Man. Hey, ladies over there. I won't be there today. I've got back to school night with my son.
All right.
Oh,
I won't. He's a senior. This is the last one.
That's it. That's it.
Oh my God, he's a senior. All right.
What's up, Eli? You tuned in? You got to get your morning mojo. You're going to start dialing. You're going to need this.
Good talk. Good talk.
All right.
Yes, indeed.
Take care. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks for everything.
All right,
Okay.
no doubt.